Terrible tragedy, Indiana, we're going to talk about. We discussed a little bit about this case this morning as the situation was unfolding. And just to kind of keep you guys up to speed of what's going on, is there was a missing teenager. Her name was Valerie Tindall, and she was 17 years old. She went missing beginning of June this year, beginning of June. And her neighbor, his name is Patrick Scott, was immediately more or less the suspect, right? Next door neighbor. And Valerie was last seen with him, and he spoke to police and concocted a story and said, she got in another car with another individual. He eventually got charged with lying. Well, human remains were found, I guess, yesterday or into the night, and authorities have given a press conference. It is her. It's a sad situation. Rushville, Indiana. Arlington, Rushville, Rush County, Indiana. Very, very small community. We looked on the map today, just southeast of Indianapolis, and she was 17 years old. So why and how this happened, we're going to find out. We're going to listen to the press conference today. I was able to get the police press conference, and they're going to go into details because we're talking about a barrel on this neighbor's property. So let's roll. Let's listen to the press conference and get more details about this terrible tragedy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank you for coming. We appreciate your time and patience. I'm Deputy Chris Morgan with the Rush County Sheriff's Office and the Public Information Officer. This afternoon, we will hear from Sheriff Alan Rice, along with Rush County detectives and other representatives with the U.S. Marshals and FBI. I would like to introduce those now. Sheriff Alan Rice, Chief Deputy Josh Brinson, United States Marshal for the Southern District of Indiana, Dan McClain, Special Agent in charge with the FBI, Herb Stapleton, Rush County Detectives Randy Meek and Sean Smallwood, Deputy U.S. Marshal Tom Abreu, Rush County Prosecutor Phil Cavanis, and Rush County Coroner Brendan McMahon. There will be an opportunity for questions at the end, so please hold all questions to that time. I'd like to introduce now Sheriff Alan Rice.
Good afternoon. I'm Rush County Sheriff Alan Rice, and I want to thank everyone for being here today to help disseminate information on the case that has been followed by many across our community and state. Yesterday, my department, along with partners from the Rushville Police Department, FBI, U.S. Marshal Service, and others, conducted a significant investigation in the search of missing teen Valerie Tindall, who was reported missing June 8th in Arlington. We have been working tirelessly on this case since its inception, executing more than 50 search warrants and expanding countless man-hours in the effort of locating Valerie. Regretfully, during our search yesterday, we discovered human remains buried on a property in Arlington. This property belonged to Patrick Scott, who was identified earlier in the case as a person of interest. The remains have yet to be positively identified by the coroner, who will establish a cause and manner of death. Following the discovery of the body, Patrick Scott was arrested for murder and booked into the Rush County Jail. This is not the outcome we had all hoped for, but I want to stress to the public that this case is far from over. There is still much work to be done, and our focus will now shift to successful prosecution of anyone who may be involved. I would like to send my heartfelt condolences to Valerie's friends and family, and our community and the officers involved who have been affected by this case. Justice will be sought for Valerie. I've been asked many times throughout the course of this investigation, why is it taking so long? The amount of time required to bring this case closer to closure is not a reflection of the effort of my officers and others have put forth. This case has been a daily effort for investigators since June. It has been a profound impact on them, and I want to thank them for their tremendous diligence and professionalism. So thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to Herb Stapleton, Special Agent in Charge, Indianapolis FBI.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to begin by echoing the Sheriff's sympathies and extending the FBI's sympathy to the family and friends of Valerie Tindall. I know that you are all suffering unimaginable grief and pain, and I'm deeply sorry for your loss. In August of 2023, the Rush County Sheriff's Office requested FBI assistance with an investigation into Valerie's disappearance. Over the course of the next few months, FBI Indianapolis aided the investigation with a full suite of investigative and support services, including specialty teams and subject matter experts, both from our Indianapolis field office as well as national assets based out of the National Capital Region. A case agent from the FBI's Muncie resident agency integrated into a joint investigative effort with the Rush County Sheriff's Office and the United States Marshals Service. And all told, the FBI's effort in this case involved dozens of agents, analysts, task force officers, and professional staff employees providing assistance to our partners here in Rush County. FBI assistance in this particular case included analysis of evidence previously collected by Rush County Sheriff's Office investigators, phone record and cell site analysis by the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey team, collaboration on interview and investigative strategies, and during yesterday's search, a full deployment of our evidence response team with support from the FBI laboratory for the search of the property, along with facilitation of K-9 support and an aerial site survey of the potential search location. All told, there were over 40 personnel on site yesterday for the search. While I know that the results of yesterday's search don't take away the pain that Valerie's loved ones are feeling right now, I'm proud of the work that our team did in concert with our local partners from Rush County and the Rushville Police Department, and with our federal partners at the United States Marshals Service. And I hope that this work will help provide answers for her family and draw us one step closer to seeing justice done in this tragic case. At this time, I'll turn the podium over to United States Marshal Dan McLean.
Good afternoon. One of the U.S. Marshal's primary responsibilities is finding federal fugitives, and we're very good at it. Over the years, we've been utilizing our experience in fugitive investigations and applying it to missing children. We've had considerable success doing this, and we offer assistance to many agencies with missing children cases. For this case, we were able to develop and follow leads pertinent to Valerie's movements the day of her disappearance, as well as the activity of the suspect. I want to thank my investigators who have been involved in the case since July. It's been a great example of the partnership the United States Marshals share with our state, local, and federal partners. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I would like to open the floor for just a few questions on the events that happened yesterday in Arlington.
Sheriff, what brought the investigators back to that location specifically on Tuesday?
So over the course of time, with all the material, all the evidence that we have gathered over the process since June, led us to the suspect and the properties that he owned.
And was there a recent piece of information that accelerated the response to go out there? And especially, what did you tell the judge in the search warrant that allowed you to enter that property?
So at this time, I'm not going to go into any details other than it was the information that the investigators had at hand led us to that property.
You still have people out there on the property. You believe there might be additional victims out there? What are you still looking for?
I don't want to go into the details of the investigation, but that has not been closed out. This is still an open investigation.
What type of evidence are you able to tell us that was recovered at the site yesterday?
human remains.
And what else?
That's all I'm going to comment on.
Do you have an indication that Mr. Scott was alone in this event or in the events that followed after Valerie's disappearance?
So this is still an open investigation, and I'm not going to comment on the details of our investigation.
Can you confirm that Mr. Scott had some kind of tracking device on Valerie's phone? We know that she worked for him and they were neighbors practically. Can you confirm that that was part of this?
I'm not going to comment on that at this time.
Was Mr. Rice present during the search yesterday?
Who?
Sorry, you're Mr. Rice.
I am.
Well, okay.
So I was, yes.
Okay, no, Mr. Scott, was Mr. Scott present during the search yesterday?
For the beginning process of it, he was interviewed, and then they were not on site.
Sheriff, are you concerned that there could be more people, that more victims there, alleged victims there in other cases? Are there other missing people that you're potentially?
I don't have any evidence that will lead me to believe that this involves anybody else.
I saw his truck being pulled away yesterday. I'm assuming that's the same truck you did a search warrant on last summer, returned to him, and then took it again yesterday?
So we did do a search on that vehicle before. We did a different style of search yesterday, which we had a search warrant for. And it was taken to the FBI headquarters for final analysis.
Patrick Scott, is he in your jail right now?
Correct.
Has he been placed in some kind of solitary confinement or?
Not going to go into the details. He is here at the jail thing.
What can you tell us about any statements he gave to you either before or after his arrest?
I did not speak with him.
Did any of your investigators speak with him, and what did they tell you he said to them?
You want to speak on that, Phil? Oh, no comment on that.
Well, okay, so he was interviewed out at the site as the day began yesterday.
Mhm.
And then he was no longer at the site. And then later, at what point was he put under arrest yesterday?
After the remains were found,
Okay, so this would be late afternoon?
yes.
Okay, so was he no longer at the site?
No,
So he was
No.
gone from the site by that point?
correct.
Was he in your custody gone from the site, or did he, drive over to a friend and relative's house?
So at the time of the search, we had no availability or reason to hold him. So he was free to roam as a normal person would. At the time that we had a reason to get him for an arrest, we went out and arrested him.
Okay, and then you didn't have any trouble, once late afternoon came up, you found the remains, you didn't have any trouble then discovering where he was, taking him into custody?
No,
Was there any weapons with him?
no.
Did you find any weapons in his house or in his truck?
There would be no comment on that.
Sheriff, did you search the lake on his property was searched early in the summer, right?
There's not a lake on his property.
Or a pond, rather, excuse me.
There's not a pond either. It was on a separate property.
And so if the remains have not been yet definitively, positively identified, what makes you believe that this is Ms. Tindall?
Pardon? Can you finish? I couldn't hear you at the end.
I'm wondering, I know that you said that we're waiting on positive identification from the coroner of the human remains, so, and yet we are still here talking about and giving sympathies to Ms. Tindall's family. What makes you believe that this is in fact her?
I can't really comment on that. We'll wait until it actually has been verified. As you recall, I said human remains. I didn't say that it was Valerie, but
But yet you're offering sympathy to her family. so
absolutely.
I'm trying to, I don't want to make the leap in my head, but I guess, no one wants to
Yeah.
assume in the wrong
No,
thing.
no law enforcement agency could say until they have the coroner's confirmation.
Hey, you're not connecting the dots, but you're kind of putting the dots out there.
Mhm. Yeah, I can't connect the dots for you until the coroner gives a report.
What was the significance of the misdemeanor charges he faces? What your detectives learned from him or about his story? What was the significance of that as it folds into this bigger investigation to which he's now charged with murder?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Okay. Last summer, your detectives talked to him, and the impression I got is his story and his details kept changing. What role did those interviews and that misdemeanor charge then play into the bigger picture, which eventually led you back there to eventually charge him with murder?
But placed him obviously as a person of interest.
And how did it do that?
I'm not going to go into any more details other than that.
This concludes our presentation. I appreciate you guys coming, your time and your patience. There will be a press release immediately issued. I have hard copies, and I'll be also able to email that to you. Thank you for your time.
Do we have an indication when he goes to court for an initial hearing?
We have no more comments, sir. Thank you.
Is there a probable cause
Prosecutor,
available?
who's the prosecutor?
Well, what do you think? Press conference is over, folks. So, Patrick Scott, I believe he's 59 years old. The victim was 17. She ended up being right next door to where she lived. Little perplexed here why authorities didn't search his property last year. They said they searched the property, another one, but not that one where she was found. Apparently he has properties, one with a pond. Also, I found something interesting. They did search his vehicle before and then gave it back to him and now got his vehicle again. So, yeah, why did it take a little bit too long for this? What led authorities? Now, it's being reported on Twitter she was found in a barrel. Underneath, let me give you some information. According to news reports, these are news organizations and news people, she was found on a barrel beneath a pile of rubble. Lived next door. A barrel. Barrel stuff. When I think of barrel, I think of Summer Wells, right? Last seen dancing around a barrel. Very, very sad. But this whole situation is sad. The parents actually spoke a little bit ago, just a brief statement to police. They're just devastated. They're very tight-lipped. He said he doesn't believe that there's any evidence that there's others, because that's when he said there was, they're still at the property and stuff. My antenna immediately went up and was like, are there other missing people in that area? Indianapolis area. Is there other missing people out there? And then interesting that they went to his house with a search warrant. He left, wasn't put in custody, and went somewhere free, went arrested, and then the minute you find their remains, boom, go get them, arrest them, boom, lock them up, and they go get them. Well, thank God this guy didn't run off far, right? That kind of reminds me of Chad Daybell. Remember when they went to his house? Lori Vallow Daybell, Chad Daybell, they went to his house, and then he kind of took off while they were searching his house after one of the remains were found of one of his children. Rushville, Arlington, small community. What's the population of Arlington? He lives on Arlington, Indiana population. I don't think there's many people there. A few hundred, maybe. So he was found, or she was found on his property in Arlington. Population 312 people. 312 people. Very, very, very sad. But they had their eyes on this guy. But again, I saw a comment in the chat was like, you need a probable cause. Like they probably, he was charged with lying or misleading police and misdemeanor. He was scheduled to go to trial for that. But you still need probable cause to make things happen, even though you know that it's the person. because defendants do have some rights, right? What led them? And did he confess? They wouldn't elaborate on if he confessed or not. And also, he said he has to wait for the coroner's report. He's pretty much saying, here it is. Right? So it's a sad situation. She's 17 years old, lost her life at the hands of somebody 40 years older. What is the world coming to, folks? What is the world coming to? So when more information comes out about this, I'll share with all of you. Just wanted to share the press conference, get your thoughts on this matter. If you're familiar with this case and you want to talk, or you know firsthand knowledge, you want to share, I am JLR Investigates. Send me a tip at JLR Investigates. Shoot me a message. We'll talk. Appreciate all of you praying for this family, praying for the community. You know, when you got little things like this that affect a small community like this with 300 something people, I'm sure everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And who is this Patrick Scott guy? Where is he originally from? Does he have a track record? Does he have an arrest record? I'll be digging in on him on that one too. We'll be looking into this guy. And when new information comes, I'll post it here on this channel and or Twitter at my Twitter account, JLR Investigates. All right. Until then, we'll talk later. And stay vigilant, everyone, and stay safe. Appreciate all y'all watching and praying for the community. Have a great day, folks. Bye-bye.